So my name is Henri Jacobs, as mentioned. I'm an entrepreneur since several years. I started 10 years ago with my own adventure. And it's basically out of that experience that I wanted to share today the future of work and how for example, we see the evolution of innovation labs and in the future. So I'm passionate by adventures, ventures, because the word venturing, it's a bit of an analogy. I started 10 years ago as an entrepreneur, but I studied informatics, so I have a passion for technology. And I always thought, okay, how can I combine my passion for technology and for entrepreneurship to create an impact which is lasting, an impact on our society, on our sustainability level, which really matters. So I'm today active as a board member, as executive director in several organizations. When I talk to people about board member mandates, people think I go surfing. Although I really like it, and I'm a kite surfer, and in a professional manner, I'm the chairman of the board of Techventures. I'm the founder of Forcit. I'm a venture partner at Airborne, non-executive director in several ventures and organizations, and also some previous experience that I had. Besides that, also some informal things, voluntary, passive, informal things that I'm active in, especially in Belgium. And it's a bit of out of that experience that I started researching that future of work. So I researched three waves. So the first wave is more on the short term, the second wave is on the midterm, and the third wave is really on the long term that I'm going to share with you today. And what we're seeing is that there is a real paradigm shift coming up, where freelancers, but also organizations are changing and are the way on they look at work, on having a place to work. That they're really changing the paradigm. There is a much more need for transparency. So, for example, when you're working as a freelancer, it's important that you can work in a transparent and an honest way, that you get paid correctly, for example. But not only as a freelancer, also as an employee, we see that people tend to request transparency from the organizations that they work for. We see a lot more requests to fairness, where the fairness can help to get a fair remuneration, but also when you are active in a certain market, you provide certain services that it's being benchmarked against, let's say, other type of profiles, and that you earn on a fair way the same or more or less the same as which is the average benchmark within the market or within the industry that you're looking at. There's of course a trend since COVID to work from anywhere. Also before COVID already there were like remote nomads. You see people freelancers, but also employees requesting, okay, can I work from other countries? Can I work remotely? Work in different time zones, and so on. Working from different time zones, for example, is in some organizations could really be benefits. So, for example, when you imagine, okay, I want to work from anywhere, but what are arguments, let's say, not only for you, but also for the job that has to be done, or for the employer. What you could do as just as a tip is saying, okay, when I work remote, I can deliver some work. And then when you wake up in the morning, so now it's a bit about 10 after 9. I open my inbox, and then you can see a lot of work that has to be done, is worked on. You see progress. Okay, currently you're another time zone, so now you're sleeping, so I can give you feedback as an employer, for example. I can give inputs on my thoughts and so on. Maybe it's an ideal timing to have a short call in the morning, but then maybe another time zone it's maybe evening. and then I can work on it, collaborate on it, and then give you the feedback and then on the other time. So you save time basically by shifting in time zones. So that can be an argument, especially if you look to, for example, developers who are working on new products, new solutions. That's often an advantage if you have people in multiple time zones, because then there is a continuity and the process of development goes much faster, because you hack basically time zones. What other trend is what we're seeing is a request for a lot more cooperatives. What is a cooperative? It's basically co-ownership. It's a steward ownership, which means that organizations tend to cluster, let's say, expertise. When they do a lot of shared services, and when they make a profit, the profit really goes back to the people that contributed to it. And so basically, we decide in the skull with all these people here to create a cooperative organization. With that cooperative organization, we start, for example, our own company. We call it a cooperative company. Every one of us is a shareholder and has an equal stake in the company. We make it possible for other people to join, and then the stake gets bigger. And the interesting thing is that everyone has also voting power. So you can say, okay, I want to influence. I want to go in a certain direction with our community, with our cooperative. I want to have suggestions or whatever. So you can really steer together with the collective into a certain direction. The organization, and when the organization creates a profit, it goes back to the people that really do the work. So we see a lot of cooperatives coming up, because conventional ownership is you have some shareholders who own and control and benefit the results of the operating company, and then you have, for example, employees, freelancers, and so on. Well, you change it to cooperative ownership. It's the members that own the cooperative, so it's the people that work for the organization that also own the organization. So it's much more self-governed. It's much more mission aligned. So the profit really serves the purpose. That's the idea, that the organization is doing something good, is creating a profit, and it goes back to the people that are the main reason that it is there in the first place. So if you want to remember, cooperatives, it's a self-governance model, and really that profit serves purpose. And of course, the best way to predict your future is to create it. So a bit of a practice what I preach. So within that cooperative aspect, we as a company, as Forcit, we changed 4 years ago to a cooperative model to create that fairness, transparency, and that steward or shared ownership. And now we started thinking, okay, what's next? So for us, what's next is the mobile innovation labs, is where collaboration, innovation can be happening in a lab, in an environment which is specially designed and created for it. We see that office spaces, co-working spaces are empty at the moment. They are not the future. Of course, due to COVID, but also some other reasons. We think that's just going to an office to work there and focus without any human interaction, and even a lunch can be human interaction, of course, but just hours sitting at your laptop, that you can better do that from home, right? So what we see is that the future for office spaces and co-working spaces is more and more into what we call corporate glamping. So basically, there are temporary bases, like base camps when you go mountaineering, that can serve as an encampment spot for innovators, entrepreneurs, and learners to come together, to collaborate together, and really use the advantage of the physical elements. And what I mean with that is, for example, an innovation lab, a studio, ideation room, for example, which creates space to experiment and to do workshops together, to collaborate with it together, right? So I don't know if anyone knows Lego Serious Play. But for example, Lego Serious Play is let's say a professional version of Lego for adults to really start using that Lego method for ideation and to understand users. So you see, okay, that's something which is really physical. You cannot do that online digitally. So a Lego Serious Play room is an idea. It could be actually an ideation room where you can work together with clients to solve certain challenges and issues. For example, user interviews, when you have a new product, a new service, you're innovating, for example, or you're working on a new project, and when you want to validate that new project with, for example, potential users or customers, then you can invite them, for example, for user testing and to see their real interactions and how they really interact with the device, with the application, if it's a software solution whatsoever. And also that you see there are a lot of space and room for let's say an encampment spot or a base camp, because it's important to invite potential users and customers and invite them in a neutral environment. For example, you're working on a new product. If that product is being developed for one of your clients, which is a big corporate, and you invite potential users in the headquarters of the big corporates, then people are biased. They will say, okay, this is a new product and it's from, I don't know, it's from Apple. So yeah, I hate Apple. I love Windows. So they will already be a lot of bias before they start using the products. So you want to test it in a neutral, let's say, environment. So that's why it's important that those encampment or base camp spots are also a bit neutral, where we can just as a co-working space which is third party, where you can collaborate together in a neutral way. Also, if you want to do interviews or, for example, remote sessions, building a studio, do live streaming, also that's also a very important, let's say, trend that we see, that a lot of organizations are investing in their own, let's say, studio for marketing purposes, for example, like that. Another example is prototyping. So a prototyping room, so a physical space where we can have 3D printers, laser cutting machines, where there are the latest devices of certain new prototypes, where you can test, validate, where you can sketch. So basically collaborate, work together with engineers, try new things. So really those kind of things, but also scaling room where we can present new strategies, new financial marketing plans, or whatever. So and to really share it with, for example, board of directors, or share it with other colleagues to present what you were at, to give feedback. We see that also that is still being valued to do it in a physical context. So that's really the idea of having those base camps, or where those entrepreneurs, but also innovators, freelancers can come together to collaborate. And basically, it's like an encampment spot. So you can provide supplies, shelter, communication, just like the base camp does in the mountaineering. So it gives a lot of inputs, stuff which you can take home, and then maybe in a few weeks you go back to the base camp and convene again. And so that's a bit of the idea. That's physically what we see in the future, because it's already there, is that it should be possible to create a mobile version, where you have mobile units of those, let's say, encampment spots, which also can be built up and moved along premises. For example, a mobile unit, innovation lab, with a prototyping room, an ideation room, whatever, that you build up from office principle, and that you can also move it from one headquarters to the other headquarters to one of the other premises. So to involve all the people in the organization. So that's a bit of a step in between to really make sure that everyone understands why it's important to come to the office, to the base camp, let's say, to the encampment spot to find new resources. And instead of building it, because that's a big issue that we've seen in the market. If you want to build, for example, an ideation room, a user intervention room, a prototyping room, that's a very high, expensive cost to invest in. So this could be, let's say, a light version, which is quite cheaper, and you can move it around, so you can replace it. Then the third wave, how can work freedom really work? Because what we've seen is that there was of course a request for people. Okay, I can come to the office for brainstorming, for ideating, but then I need to go back to the office because I want my family time, I want to work-life balance. But also, I really wanted to work because you don't want that distraction, and so it's not always easy, right? This is an example of camping kantoor. It's a camping office translated in English. It's an event, an activity in Belgium. It is the first outdoor co-working event that they did last summer. And basically the idea was that you can come to the camping place with your bus, your camper van, your tent, whatever. So it really doesn't matter what you think would find comfortable. You build it up for 1 week, so it was during a working week, so not in a weekend. So you come there, you just install your camper van, you install basically your office there, and that was the idea that during the day there was very good Wi-Fi, internet was super fast. There was all kind of lunch activities. There were talks in the evening, so that you really bring together a community of freelancing people that can really work together outdoor and co-work together. So that you don't only do it at your home, but there are also, I think, more and more initiatives coming like this, where you can work, for example, remotely, but still be part of that community and also share, exchange with others, while basically during the day you're just doing your job. Another example is also a company. It's a non-profit actually, which called Adventure Venues, which is also a bit working or in that same trend. So what they are doing is they're targeting freelancers, let's say ambitious, entrepreneurial-minded people to go on adventures together. So they also have workations, for example, and stuff like that. But also one-day activities where you can go skiing, you go hiking, you go sailing, or a kayak trip with torches at night, to really connect with people, with each other, not in a, let's say, conference setting, which is very duffy, but really by going on adventures together. So you tend to connect better with people when you're doing an activity, which is a bit of excitement also involved. So that's a bit of what they're working on, and they're also targeting that same community, and also trying to find that balance. Like, okay, we go for a kite surfing trip, but it's perfectly possible to kite surf, and then in the evening you work a little bit on your projects, but also you can share your challenges and so on. This is another example. This is Gift. It's a company in US. It's founded by some people who are also involved in Burning Man. And what they do is really, I think, the future. It's really next step. So we're also in the third wave. So we're moving to, let's say, maybe some more evolutionary. So what they believe in is to live and work from anywhere, basically. So this is a bit of the concept which they present. So the idea is that you have your own camper van, which you can move around to different, let's say, spots. So you take your home and your office with you. You just plug it in, let's say, for 6 months or 3 months on a temporary basis at one of their hubs. And why? Because they believe that living just in a van is too restricted. You want to live in a community, right? You want to connect with people. You want your kids to play with other kids and so on. But also, if you want to work, it's very important that you have quality of internet. And to be honest, you also have to do your laundry and the dishes. And so they have within their concept, maybe if you can, it's on the top here. The idea is that you have a base station, let's say, which is a fixed construction with where you can do your laundry, where you can work, for example, kind of a co-working cafe space where there is a bar and so on. So there are central, let's say, supplies and services which you can make use of, to make your life a bit easier when you're traveling around every 3 months, moving from a different place. So they're currently live. So it's not looking like this yet, but they're currently live, and they're having a few spots in US where you can go with your own truck, but you can also lease a truck via them. So you can really start working remotely as a freelancer and travel around at the same time and use their let's say base stations to really connect into communities and be part of the bigger picture. What is a bit of their answer on or the solution which they're working on? Well, what we've seen is that especially in the US, but also in Europe, housing prices are rising. People cannot afford a house building anymore. Especially in the US, people travel around a lot for their work. So it's a bit contrary to what I said before. But sometimes you have to, if you're a creative, you work in the film industry, then you have to move sometimes from places to places. So this is a way to really combine that, because not all jobs can be done remotely. Well, this is a solution where you can do your job remotely. You can, for example, when you're in the film industry, you can plug in the base station at a certain region, and then you move to another region for a set. Then you plug in your camper van in another set. So that's a bit of the idea. So it's a lot of gives you a lot of flexibility. It's much cheaper, and it really can solve the problem of non-affordable apartments and houses in certain situations when those kind of hubs are close to city centers and things like that.